I'm Jim Donches, the mayor here in Nashua. And I would like to welcome everyone to Nashua City Hall, and particularly welcome Mayor Bloomberg to our great city. Now, I'm just about to introduce John Feinblatt, and you will hear from him. Very interesting man. But I did want to remind our out-of-town visitors, and I know we have quite a few, that out in front of City Hall, to the left as you come in the front door, is a bust of JFK, because and that's been there for 50 years or so, maybe more. JFK, of course, did his first campaign stop when he was running for president right out here in front of City Hall. Kind of an interesting fact, I think, for Mayor Bloomberg. In any event, John Feinblatt, who's right here, and I just met him down at Jaja Bell's, a very interesting guy, is the president of Everytown for Gun Safety, which is the largest gun violence prevention organization in the United States. He's a senior advisor to former Mayor Bloomberg, and in addition to his role at Everytown, he has led Mayor Bloomberg's efforts on immigration reform, on infrastructure investment, and on marriage equality. So we want to thank you for all that good work. During the 12 years of the Bloomberg administration in New York, John held the position of New York City Criminal Justice Coordinator, and in 2010, he was appointed to be the mayor's chief policy advisor. Prior to joining Mayor Bloomberg at New York City Hall, John was the founding director of the Center for Court Innovation and the founding director of the Midtown Community Court. So with that, I will ask John to come up and say a few words, and I think introduce Mayor Bloomberg. So come on up.
Thank you, Mayor. Nashua is certainly lucky to have you, and every town is lucky to have you as a member of Mayors Against Illegal Guns. And thank you so much for hosting us today and opening City Hall to us. You know, earlier this morning, Mike and I had the pleasure of meeting with 6 incredible Moms Demand Action volunteers who are running for office here in New Hampshire. And it was an extraordinary conversation. We talked about policy, we talked about politics, but there was one thing that all the moms got wrong in that conversation. They were thanking us, but we were here to thank you. We're here to thank you and the other nearly 1,000 Moms Demand Action volunteers for your courage to do what is right, your courage to persevere, and your courage to take on tough fights. Which brings me to Mike Bloomberg, because Mike is a man who has never backed away from fights that really matter. You know, when Mike was mayor, he always said the toughest thing he faced was rushing to the hospital after a shooting. Sometimes the victim was a child, sometimes a police officer, and often Mike had to break the news that was going to break a family's heart. But Mike knew his job wasn't just to comfort families. He also knew that he had a responsibility to keep them safe. So when political leaders in Washington, D.C. were running away from gun safety, Mike said, let's just create a new class of political leaders and let's start with mayors. And when everybody else said to him, you know, the NRA, it's just invincible, Mike said, let's build a counterweight. And when everybody else said, we'll never match the NRA's ability to mobilize, Mike said, let's join forces with Shannon Watts and show the NRA what happens when you mess with moms. You know, it all goes to show when people of courage team up, there's just nothing you can't accomplish. So now, it's my honor to introduce one of the most courageous people I have ever met. Please join me in welcoming Mike Bloomberg.
Thank you. I'd make some statement. My mother never would have believed it, but my father would have. Thanks for the kind words, John. All kidding aside, I wanted to thank you, and I particularly wanted to thank the mayor. Jim, thank you very much for your hospitality and for everything that you do to make this a better city. I grew up not very far away from here in Medford, Massachusetts, and we would, yep, thank you. Anybody from Medford? Go Mustangs? We would come up to New Hampshire a lot. Lake Winnipesaukee was where we would come, and but here and to Manchester, and we'd come up for the foliage in the fall, and we'd come up in the summer to go to some of the beaches. It's a great state, and I think of it as all of New England as sort of one big thing. We kept going from one town to another, and it's my heritage. I'm a New Yorker. I'm going to stay a New Yorker, I will say that. But this is home, so thank you for having us. It is Saturday, and it's great that he came out. There's a lot of work to do today because there are a lot of people who need your help. And Representative Newman, Representative Schmidt, and Linda, and Robin, and Michelle, and Liz, everybody is counting on you, and I'm counting on you too. You've got to go out there and win your election and then use your power as an elected official to get some common sense in this country so we stop some of the carnage. But before you go, I just want to say, you get going, I want to say two things. And the first is thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you to every Moms Demand supporter who has stood up and spoken out and organized and rallied and marched and fundraised and inspired people across New Hampshire to join you. This year alone, in the State House, you helped defeat 2 bad bills that would have forced colleges to allow guns on campus and punish cities and towns for enacting strong gun laws. You did that. You did stop them. You know, yes. Conventional wisdom is you can't beat the gun lobby. Well, that may have been true at one time, but I think as all of you has proved, it just ain't true anymore. The American people have always favored common sense gun regulations, but that wasn't enough. We need Americans to demand action and put in the time and energy to achieve it. And that's what you're doing. And you are getting real results. Now, I've been involved in gun violence prevention for many years, as John pointed out, and I've never seen more energy behind this movement than there is right now. And all of you deserve an enormous amount of credit for that. Together, Moms Demand and Everytown have landed some big punches against the NRA. We haven't knocked them out yet, not by a long shot, but we've got them on the ropes. And while we're getting stronger and stronger every day, they're getting weaker and weaker. So I really wanted to thank you for all the progress that we're making. But we still have an awful lot more to do. And that brings me to the second thing that I wanted to say today. And we're about to face the biggest test of our political strength on November 6th. And the only way to pass it is to get people to the polls. Now, voter turnout typically goes down in the midterms, but let me ask you something. Is that going to change this year? What do you think? Yes. I think so, too. I think there is a wave. But it's up to us to make sure that it does. You can't just sit there, I feel it, I know it. You got to go out and make it happen. We've got to send a message to elected officials. Vote for common sense gun laws, or we will throw you out. Enough. We've all seen enough stories about massacres. We've all had to go to too many funerals. We've all had to talk with our kids about safety. It's time to do something. I'm spending a lot of money, as you know, to help Democrats around this country who are strong on guns. And I know all of you are committed to electing gun sense candidates as well. In New Hampshire, you're used to the whole country watching what happens here. This is a bellwether state. And on Election Day, you have a chance to show the whole country that candidates who bow down to the NRA can be defeated. That's what we've got to do. And show them that candidates who stand up for common sense gun laws can be elected. We have to make sure that this year is different. Very, very different. We have to get voters off the sidelines and to the polls to support the Moms Demand volunteers who are running for office. We have to send a message that we don't forget. We don't forget the children. We don't forget the parents. We don't forget the thousands of people killed by gun violence every single year. And we don't forget the politicians who refuse to take basic steps to protect us. There are only 24 days left until the election, and together we need to make every day count. So you've got to go out there and knock on the doors and make the phone calls and drive people to the polls and vote. And get your family and friends involved. This is an all-hands-on-deck situation. It won't be easy, but I tell you this from my experience, nothing worth doing ever is easy. This is a fight we can win. This is a fight we must win for the future of our country and our communities and our families. So get out there and do it. Vote for gun safety. Vote for the Moms Demand volunteers. And keep the America that we know and love moving forward and marching towards a more perfect union that is safer and stronger for all. Thank you. Go do it. And now, thank you. Thank you. Love the red. And now you're going to hear, thank you. And now you're going to hear from Deidre Reynolds from Moms Demand Action. Let's hear a nice round of applause for Deidre.
Good morning. Thank you, Michael Bloomberg. I'm so glad you can meet the New Hampshire chapter of Moms Demand Action. We have some incredible volunteers in the room today. We have Britt over here. We have Ann. We have Justine and Barbara and Kathleen and Julie. And I could name them all, but there are quite a few in here. Our chapter has successfully pushed back on NRA priorities this year, including fighting the guns on campus legislation, which was incredibly important to me because I had a daughter in college. Our chapter has shown up by the dozens in our red shirts to hearing after hearing at the State House, along with coalition partners, who we have wonderful coalition partners here in New Hampshire. We also proudly grew our chapter this year by the hundreds. On the ballot in November, we have more than 70 gun sense candidates, which is pretty incredible for New Hampshire. We spent the past few months educating people about what it means to be a gun sense candidate. In the past few weeks, we've been canvassing for them. We have amazing Democrats up and down the ticket, and there are some right here. I know I saw Representative Latha Majapudi, I saw Representative Trish Klee, I saw Senator Betty Lasky, and there are many more in the room. Now I'd like you to meet the 6 every town endorsed gun sense candidates. Sorry.
Hi, is this on? Yes, okay. Hi, my women, my girls. So I had to step aside from my lead role in New Hampshire Moms Demand Action to run for office. So that kind of broke my heart, but I had to make the decision, and I figured I might be able to do better inside than outside, and I know you guys will all have my backs going forward. So I am, again, I didn't think that I would be up here, but with doing this at this point in my life, but with what's going on up at the White House and in Washington, D.C., I figured we needed change, we needed women. So I don't think it's just going to be a blue wave, I think it's going to be a pink wave. And it is going to reverberate across the country, but let's do this in New Hampshire, you guys, right? We can do this, it's amazing. In Londonderry, we've had 7 Republican reps that have had a stranglehold. We've only had 1 Democrat in 100 years for a 2-year term. But if the 3 of us, the 3 women, there's 7 Democrats and 7 Republicans, the 3 women had enough votes to get in to take away for 3 Republicans. So we're really excited, hoping, again, thank you guys so much for coming out today. I know it's a really lousy day, but you know what? We might catch more people at home. So that's a good thing. So thanks, you guys, and vote.
Hi, I'm Michelle Sawyer-Mauger, and I'm running in Derry, New Hampshire, and this is the first time this is the first time I've ever done anything political in my life, and I couldn't be prouder to be endorsed by Everytown for gun safety and Moms Demand Action, so thank you.
Hi there, my name is Liz McConnell. I'm from Brentwood, New Hampshire. I'm running for the District 11 seat. And again, thank you so much for all you have done, Moms Demand Action in Everytown. And I look forward to knocking on doors with you and encouraging your support moving forward. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Morning, I'm Sue Newman, Ward 2, Nashua. Thank you, Ward 2. I'm honored to have this endorsement. It means a lot. Like most of the other moms and you all, we got involved after Newtown. Sandy Hook, it was a life changer for so many people. So in the spirit of my other, let me just throw, I see Paul Bergeron out here. He's also running in Ward 2. My husband, Ray Newman, is also running. He wasn't able to be here this morning, but Ray and I have been out knocking on doors. As these ladies have said, it's so important to get out and vote. Let me put my hat on. My stunning hat. When people see me in Ward 2, this is what they see at their door. And I'm used to knocking on doors. Gets a good reception. They like the hat. They read the words. Small children read the letters. This is good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm Jan Schmidt for Ward 1, and I can tell you from my 5 years, and this year's 6, knocking on doors over there, people want sensible gun laws. Gun owners want sensible gun laws because they know they're protected by them too. And when 80% of New Hampshire says we want these laws, and what happens up in Concord is they take them away, we need to do something. And I think that's why we're all here today. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Jamila Gathright Scales. I'm here and representing my mom, Linda Gathright, Harriet Gathright, and she didn't want to miss this, but she had to. So she demanded that I came here. All you know my mom, so she demanded that I came here and made sure that she was represented because she has such a strong belief in sensible gun laws. She is over Ward 9, over at Ward 9 now. So that's who she's representing, and she's representing the community, the city. So she would like to your vote as a state rep out of Ward 9. And she just wants to make sure that you know for sure that she will be voting for sensible state laws. She also gave me some other information to give you. She's very sorry, like I said, that she could not be here. She views our state as needing to move forward with volunteers today and every day. She views our state as needing to move forward with building relationships with Nashua to Concord and Concord to Nashua. That's important to her. So you'll see her next time. And again, she really sends her greatest apologies, especially to you, Dee, because she wanted to make sure that you knew she wanted to be here. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and please go out to vote for our newly signed state reps. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's give them all a round of applause. Okay. Now, before we break, I want to remind everyone we'll be canvassing and phone banking in a few minutes. But first, we are going to be taking some questions from the press.
So let's go through a photo, and then everyone stays, and John and Mike will do.
Sounds good.
You guys can just come up. We're going to leave the podium here.
Do you want that?
Mike and the mayor behind the podium.
Never try to get into the audience.
And then just get a little
No, I'm just kidding. So I just wanted to tell you one more time how inspiring it is to see all these red T-shirts, and how inspiring it is to see 6 people who have been influencing policy now standing up and ready to make policy themselves. So Mike and I can take a couple of questions now. Mike, let's see. Yep.
ABC News. You've just switched to be a member of the Democratic Party. I think the conventional wisdom is that the party has only moved further to the left since the last time you were a member of it. Where do you fit into today's Democratic Party, and what would you try to do to shape the party?
Well, I don't know that it's moved further left. I think that is conventional wisdom among some people, but there are an awful lot of other people that say if you talk to Democrats, they're much more centralist than people understand. They want sensible laws, and what they want is some check and balance on the White House. That's what Congress is supposed to provide. The Founding Fathers gave us a legislature, and they're supposed to make sure that working with the White House, there's a check and balance. The Republicans have not done that for the last 2 years. And also, the Democrats, I think, want to work on the issues that really matter to us. 70,000 people OD'd on drugs this last year. 30,000 have been killed with illegal handguns, including suicides. We've had climate change getting worse and more dangerous every single day. Education system is suffering. We're not paying our teachers enough, and we're not getting good results. And I think that it's time to bring in another group, because the Republicans did not address those issues at all, and they didn't provide a check and balance on the White House. And I think the Democrats will. They'll be in for the first time in a while, and I want to help them get elected in both the House and the Senate. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Paul Steinhauser from AP. Your visit here comes just a few days after you re-registered as Democrat. You heard Mayor Daunt just mention the statue of JFK outside, and I'm just wondering, you know, your trip sparks more speculation. What is your timetable for any kind of decision on running for the White House?
Well, right now I'm focused on November 6th, plain and simple. That's the most important thing. And if you look every place I've gone, I've tried to work on climate change or guns, 2 things that my foundation has been working on. We just didn't come to these issues for an election. We've been doing this for a long time, and I'm very proud of the work we've done, but we certainly have a long ways to go. And after that, we'll see what happens down the road. I will say that I'm going to call when I get back to New York this afternoon. I'll call Caroline Kennedy, who's a good friend, she and her husband, and say, I saw a statue of your father up there. She'll get a kick out of that. Yes.
Hi, Mike.
Okay. Former Bloomberg employee,
Yes.
in the interest of full disclosure. So it'll be a puffball question.
Not true. I'm with CNN now, so I'm going to ask you a tough one.
That's okay. You know, there are other networks around. I understand that.
So do you think the Democrats have failed as much as the Republicans have when it comes to gun safety? I mean, some of the most horrific incidents have happened under Democrat watch.
It's a fair question. And I can't say that either party has done the right thing all the time. What I know is right now, the Republicans for the last few years have almost uniformly done everything they can to stop working on guns and all of those other issues that I mentioned. And they all say that they will work on them if they get elected. And I have said to Nancy Pelosi, Nancy, I am going to help the Republicans lose and the Democrats win. But make no mistake about it, I expect the Democrats, if they win, and I think they will, to stand up and do what they say they will do now. For too long, we've promised things, and then when they get into office, oh, well, I can't do it yet, I'll get around to it. I think those days are over, and I think we can make sure they're over by showing right now at the ballot box, you lost your position because you didn't stand up to protect people that were getting killed, or our kids that weren't getting an education, or people that couldn't find a job, or any of those other issues, climate change in particular. You could kill everybody. And it's time to hold their feet to the fire. I've always believed that, as you know. When I was in City Hall, it was basically a nonpartisan job. And I ran as a Republican because the Democrats wouldn't let me on the ballot. In New York City, it's virtually all Democrats. But I won anyways. And then 3 terms, in a nonpartisan way, I tried to bring everybody together. And I think we were reasonably successful. We didn't get everything done we wanted to get done, but we made some progress, and we've shown that you don't have to say one thing and then do another. You can stand up. And if you can't get it done, just say, I tried, and I'll try again. It's not as easy as I thought. Okay, I understand that. But you've got to focus, and we've got to hold elected officials accountable.
One more question.
One more, we only went from the press before. The press back there? I'm not press. Okay. Okay, then I saw your hand first.
I'm not press. I'm currently sitting state rep from Ward 8 in Nashua, and I'm a first-generation immigrant. What is your definition of inclusion and diversity in our communities today?
I'm not sure what you mean by a definition. I can tell you that for sure we need to bring more people from around the world into America. We need people that will create businesses here, that will invent things here, that will enhance our school systems here, that will do jobs that Americans don't do. We've got to make sure that what they do is they create jobs for people who are already here. But everybody in America, or virtually everybody, is a first, second, or third generation immigrant. I think it's also true that there are parts of this country where the mixture is not even. It's very one way or another. I think that's sad because getting to know people with other backgrounds and other views is exciting, and it makes you a better person, more interesting person. But we've got to make sure that we focus on people and treat them all as human beings, all as Americans, give them a pathway to citizenship if they're already here. But it's what we've been doing with closing borders and taking kids out of their parents' hands. This is not the America that I knew and love and the America that we want it to be. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, New Hampshire.